Welcome back to DBL. Imagine you're a young student following your passion of teaching and moving to another country, only to be murdered months later. That is the story of Erica Hagan. Her case went cold for 6 years, but now it's getting a second look, and we have an update on DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Erica Hagan was a loving and smart 22-year-old girl from Kentucky. She graduated as valedictorian of her high school class and went on to Georgetown University for college.
She went on a study trip to Chile in college, and that's when she just really found her spot.
Erica loved Chile so much, she decided to go back for student teaching and help children learn English. Just 2 months into the job, Erica's body was found in a bathtub at her apartment.
It was brutal. She was brutally murdered.
Erica's mother says her daughter was beaten to death with a fire poker. The only way she could recognize her was by her tattoo.
It's Corinthians, and it's the one about love. Love is good, love is, and that was Erica. She loved everybody.
These photos from the crime scene show someone intentionally tried to set her apartment on fire. But why? Erica's sister believes Chilean authorities botched the investigation.
The prosecutor's office has done a lot of shady things already.
At one point, Domingo Cofre, a security guard at Erica's school, was considered a suspect after his DNA was found on the fire poker. But police contaminated that evidence, and he was later acquitted. Earlier this year, the Hagan family started a petition to reopen the case.
If I run into you at the grocery store, like anybody that I could ask, I asked.
The thousands of signatures gained national attention. In Chile, dozens of strangers protested the country's handling of Erica's case.
She was only there 2 months, and she mattered to them, and it feels good to know that she touched other people.
The petition and protests worked. This September, the National Prosecutor's Office in Chile announced they would reopen the case.
I am grateful, and I feel definitely, like I was saying, hope that it's going to be resolved, that my sister will get the justice that she deserves.
Earlier, Jeff and I spoke to a reporter in St. Louis who's covering this case closely. Take a look. We're joined by reporter Christine Beyers from KSDK in St. Louis, Missouri. Thank you so much, Christine, for joining us. 6 years later, Chilean authorities are reopening Erica's case. But exactly how do they plan on doing that? Are there any new leads or information to work with?
Well, her mother actually submitted a memo with 75 questions that she came up with about things that were missed, things that were overlooked, things that were perhaps intentionally done as a cover-up in this case. And so there are some new leads, but the word new is, who knows if it's new or if it was just missed the first time around.
Now, Christine, when Erica's body was found, allegations surfaced of a botched investigation. What does her family feel went wrong?
So there were some talks about contamination of the scene, mainly that some police officers' DNA was found at the scene that shouldn't have been there. Her mother talks about how she's not sure if it was intentionally contaminated or perhaps happened on accident. But at one point, the Chilean authorities actually gave Erica's father a pretty sizable settlement for what they called missteps in this case and how it was handled incorrectly. So they have admitted some wrongdoing definitely went on in this case. And also, another interesting aspect of it is that the host family, at one point in time, some of them were considered suspects in this case. And they had a very good relationship with the prosecutor in the case. And so they were never looked at as real suspects and questioned enough in the mother's mind.
Wow. Missteps lead to such agony for the family. That's so unfortunate. Well, your community actually in St. Louis played a really big role in this case reopening. Can you tell us about that and what is coming up next?
Absolutely. So in St. Louis, Erica's sister actually lives here. And she started a petition here to basically plead to the Chilean authorities to please reopen the case. And she gathered about 1,000 signatures, but Erica's mother tells me that the petition actually was worldwide, and they got about 36,000 signatures from across the world, England, Africa, Mexico, I mean, all over. And the case has really become part of a national movement in Chile to call attention to the lack of attention for cases involving violence against women.
Yeah.
And so Erica's face is in the middle of these national protests that are going on in a country where, you know, her family doesn't speak the language, they've never been there, and yet all these people really care about Erica.
Wow. Well, let's keep her face out there, keep it in the public's eye. We so appreciate you covering this case. Thank you so much, Christine. For the latest on this case and to learn more, visit KSDK.com. You can also listen to a new podcast episode out about Erica Hagan. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Thanks again, Christine. We'll be right back.